That was the beginning of the slow clap.
Yeah.
That's how we felt about the Mortal Kombat movie.
I don't know.
No, I actually liked it pretty.
I thought it was kind of whack.
I liked it.
It had some good elements to it. I really okay, so we watched. What did we watch?
Mortal Kombat.
It has begun again. So, all right. I grew up with Mortal Kombat. It's one of the biggest things in my childhood. Mm-hmm. Even still going. I was even texting my brother from another mother about us saying like, this is just one of those things that we're going to be 80-year-old men.
Yeah.
And,
still talking about Mortal Kombat.
Sending hologram messages to each other being like, new Mortal Kombat. We're going to be like 10 years old again. This is just always going to be a thing with us. Is it the most like well-written, challenging? No. But like,
it never is.
There's substance there.
Yeah.
The first movie is good. The second movie
is garbage.
Is absolute trash.
It's garbage.
And I love it.
Yeah, like it's one of those movies you watch to make fun of it.
Yeah, and what about you? Like Mortal Kombat exposure?
Well, I'm newer to it. I mean, if they've watched any of our other videos, then they've probably seen me play through at least one of the games.
This one, you started with the reboot, MK9, and you're up to speed.
Yeah, like I played 9, 10, and 11.
Yeah.
Through all the storylines. So, like, I know... Our cat's chasing her tail. I know all the storylines, and I've played both endings for 11 and everything like that, so... and so I'm very familiar with the characters and everything like that. And, like, even some of their backstory, like, we have watched the original first movie and the second one, and we actually watched the, miniseries.
The live action.
Yeah.
Yeah. Legacy or some...
Yeah, which was actually kind of awesome. Like,
it's pretty good,
yeah,
actually.
it's pretty good. It's definitely a different take on it, for sure.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind it, and, like, it was pretty cool. It was a different idea about Mortal Kombat, but not a bad one. So yeah, I've watched all of those.
And then here we are in 2021.
Yeah.
Where we're finally getting a new Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I liked it. I thought it was pretty fun. Like it's definitely, it's definitely better than like the second one. And
that's not.
It's not hard to do, but
I agree.
Like it's definitely better. And like I enjoyed watching it. It was fun.
I enjoyed watching it. There were some parts where it's kind of like, why are we still... It didn't feel like there wasn't much happening.
There were some times where I wanted... Because, like, the action and everything was actually pretty good and, like, pretty fun to watch. And, like, a lot of the fighting was pretty well done. There were some moments where, like, I wish they would have followed through a little bit better.
Yeah, there's connective tissue that's missing. You see a guy wrapped in a chain, and then the next instant you see him...
He's, like, bursting through a wall.
Ice. You're like, I don't see how we got from A to B.
Yeah.
And it takes you out of it a little bit. There's connective tissue missing.
Or, like, I really wanted to see... And maybe it was just because maybe it was their way of saying, you know, she hasn't become a warrior yet or whatever. So, you know, you don't get to see her full follow through of, like, her twisting and things like that. But some of the fights, with, like, some of the more intense choreography or some of the more fancy choreography.
Yeah.
I wish we could have just seen it and they wouldn't have cut away so fast because I wanted to see it go all the way through.
Yeah.
There is definitely, like, especially with a movie like this, I am not offended by all of the, like, little things that they throw in there for the fans.
No, I'm not either.
I'm not mad at it.
I felt a little pandered to it a couple times. Like, obviously, Get Over Here is going to be in there. You gotta have it in there.
It has to be.
You have to have that. You have to have either flawless victory or fatality.
Yeah.
I'll take either one. That's obviously going to be in there.
Yeah.
But it got to the point where I was kind of like, I need you to stop. I want more newbies to watch this and be like, oh, this is what Mortal Kombat's about.
Yeah.
That's cool. On the whole, I did enjoy it. It felt a little bit like, which Harry Potter movie was it? Half-Blood Prince, I think. where I walked out of it, I was kind of like, that felt like a really long trailer for the next movie. Because the next movie is obviously going to have a lot of stuff happening in it.
This movie better do so well so that I can have the
It builds
next
up to, I'm like, I can't wait for the next one. I don't know why I watched all of this for it. Okay, let's talk about New Boy.
Yeah.
Cole, whatever, is fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
He's fine.
He's fine. I wasn't
not,
mad about it. It was an
not
interesting.
as bland as I was kind of worried he would be.
It was an interesting way to continue
things without spoiling anything.
It was an interesting way to like keep that moving.
His whole like concern and love for his family, I felt could have been because that is supposed to be the motivation for him to do certain things.
Yeah.
And I didn't quite believe it because we didn't spend a whole lot of time with him. Like when he eats her ice cream.
Yeah, that was really cute.
I needed more stuff like that to really be like,
what
he
I
loves
thought,
them.
see what I didn't understand I thought I didn't pick up right away that they were like married and that
I didn't
was
either.
his kid. I thought he was the boyfriend.
I thought he was the boyfriend.
And that it was like a bonding thing for him and the kid. Like that he's bonding with the kid and because he's been around so often.
Yeah.
Not that they biologically had a child.
Yeah. Part of that is the dialogue.
Yeah, part of that is the dialogue. It wasn't their interactions.
No.
Their interactions were fine.
The interactions are fine, but the dialogue in the movie either tries too hard or it doesn't try hard enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it tends to flip-flop.
I thought he was the boyfriend.
There are times where I'm like when Cabal is like, he's about to suck out his soul. I'm like, thank you.
Also,
I'm watching the movie. I know what he's going to do. And then there's times like that with the him and the girl, kind of like, I never would have picked up that you guys were
like married
in,
or
like in a relationship because you didn't.
I did there was some, they just needed a little bit more of it because what they did put in was good. Mm-hmm. Like he would look at photos and stuff like that of them and think fondly and that was all good. It was just like they just needed a little bit more of that just to like carry those feelings all the way through. Just to give him the impetus he needed. Yeah.
The movie as a whole, so in a lot of movies like these, there is a low point where it all seems lost, everybody's down, maybe we've even lost somebody at that point.
Sure.
Or, something has drastically changed and we don't know what we're doing because we're on the back end, the back heel. But it usually has to ramp up to that. Yeah. But this doesn't have a ramp up to that. It's pretty much just this and then it just drops.
Yeah.
The stakes go up, but only because they drop it like a hot rock.
This was definitely the exposition movie.
It was that's kind of why I was kind of like, this feels like a trailer for the next movie.
It's like, this was the exposition movie. We need to introduce some of these characters. We need to give a basic information about each of the realms, because really and truly, there wasn't even a lot of information on the realm. They said what the realms were, and you only got two of them. You only got names. Yeah, you only got Outworld and you got Earthrealm.
But it's like you can't just throw out the phrase Outworld. The way you're introduced to Outworld is it just cuts away to a barren wasteland, and there's a subtitle that says Outworld. I'm like, how would I know what this is now if I was just watching this movie? And they keep cutting back to it. I'm like, You do know when you're in Outworld and when you're in Earthrealm, just because there are very the color palette is very different.
Yeah, they're very stark, very different.
Gun to my head, I couldn't tell you what Outworld was in this movie. At least not till later when they're like, oh well, it's our enemy. I'm like, cool.
I mean, you know that. Yeah, I was like, you know that the people they're fighting against are there.
Not good people.
Are not good people.
And they're there.
You can interpret that they are the bad guys.
Yeah. But if I'm going to follow along with an interdimensional martial arts tournament.
They also don't tell you where in Earthworld they are.
No. We were sitting there just kind of like, is this New York? Is it Jersey? Is it Florida?
I assume at this point that it's Chicago, but I don't even know if that's true. And that's just based off of a line that Cole said. Mm-hmm. But it in no way is it confirmed that they're actually in Chicago.
And that kind of brings me back to the connective tissue missing. It's not just in the fight scenes. There's connective tissue missing in moving from one spot to the next, where suddenly we're just
there.
In a place, I don't know where this place is or why it's important, but we're here.
Yeah.
Now we're in some other place. Where is it? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
now
we know how they got there most of the time. We just don't know where that place lies. Like, if you looked at a map, you wouldn't know.
It reminds me of season 8 of Game of Thrones, because people would just show up at places wherever, and it's kind of like, but aren't these places really, wouldn't this take like
really
a week?
Far apart, or like...
And I would have liked to have seen that time, because then we could have seen them bouncing off each other.
Yeah, a little more interaction. They are good. Like, everyone did a good job. And, like, okay, so all the actors were really good.
Yeah. Especially what's his name that plays Scorpion. He's played Scorpion a couple of times.
Yeah, he was cool.
He was in the series that we watched, the Legacy series.
Was a big fan. He's
good.
However, Liu Kang is...
Liu Kang is not a good actor.
No, like, he was not he's not horrid.
No, he's just not good.
He's just not very good. He
drops a lot of his lines. A lot of the characters already have moments where they feel like they're just like a first run through, like they're just reading the lines to get the pacing of the scene. He especially is like drops a lot of...
He had some good moments. Yeah, that was probably the best one. That was what I was just thinking about. I was like, that was a good moment.
I thought the director got off of a chair and actually
like,
walked
do this
in
thing.
And and actually worked with them.
Yeah, that was a really good scene.
Yeah.
But in the opposite turn of that man is so ripped.
Oh, he'll kill you.
Oh my god!
Him with his shirt off. So I know some people were kind of like, "This is Liu Kang. He looks like a shrimp. Like, I could kill him."
And then he just like takes his, and you're like, "What?"
You're like, "Oh."
It's just bulging muscles. Everywhere.
Like I cut myself a little bit just looking at him. My self-esteem is already pretty low, but then I look at him, I'm like, wow, I didn't think I could feel any worse about myself than I did a couple minutes ago.
It was so much.
Wow.
I was like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. You went. Yep, you were the right choice.
And you know
you were the right choice.
The big moment that I take away from is his low point compared to everybody else's is a lot lower.
Yeah.
And I didn't get a whole lot of sadness or despair from him.
And I also don't think they gave him the time to have that despair.
No.
It was very quick. It was very short. It was like just super brief. And so
the movie is so worried about setting things up, it doesn't give the characters a lot of time to breathe.
Yeah.
Jack's got time to breathe.
Yeah.
But he has maybe 9 minutes of screen time.
But he was very good.
He was very good. Yeah. And
I also really liked Sonya.
Liu Kang kind of needed big drop. He could have played it the cool way the whole way, and then when he hits that low point,
just like really
have him
low.
drop really hard.
Yeah.
That
because like he didn't really get a chance. Like it happened, and then it was immediately we were moving on, and so he didn't even really get a chance to.
And the movie's under 2
show
hours.
that arc.
It could have taken a little more time. Not much more. But it could have taken a little more time.
So like not too much longer. Like maybe another 40 minutes, and I would have been okay.
Yeah.
And most movies now, you can get away with about 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
And I could tell that there was, in the first opening scene, the first 7 minutes, that was initially, or eventually how I was going to feel about it, because the whole opening scene in feudal Japan, there were so many cuts on moments where I was like, I didn't need that. Are we in that big of a hurry already?
Yeah, they just wanted to...
He's standing there with his wife, and the little kid runs in, and they're on this side of the frame, and then suddenly it cuts. One Mississippi, and now it's cut to the inside the house with the kid. I was like, just cut to the kid.
Yeah.
Are we in that big of a hurry already? And they do that with the fight scenes too, the connective tissue.
Yeah, there just needed to be
you need to slow down just a little bit more. It's okay to be... I know it's Mortal Kombat. I know it's exciting.
It is exciting.
And
it was exciting.
Fast-paced, and I know that that's what people want out of it.
Yeah, we expect to see the fights. We expect to see
a little. The original slows down a lot to give the characters something to do.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is it's okay to slow it down a little bit, especially during the big fight scenes and stuff like that, just so that we can see a little bit more, because that's what I want. I want to see all the I want to see every movement. I want to see all the hits. I want to see as much as possible. I want to see it.
Especially because what we did see was
cool.
good.
Yeah.
It was good. But you would get thrown out of every other fight scene. Immersion-wise, you would get thrown out of it. Yeah,
because not every fight was like that. It was just, like, sporadic. Like, this one was cut really weird, and that one was cut really weird. And then there was one where you were like, wow, that was so cool.
Or a character does something, like, really... Cabal looks like ass. I don't like how Cabal looks. Cabal looks like ass. The guy, the Flash running guy.
Oh!
His hook swords look, honestly, like... Party City plastic. They're really short.
So I don't know as much about Cabal as like a lot of the other characters, but like
he's barely in MK9 and 11.
I didn't like his voice.
I don't like his voice either.
I didn't like it, and
he needed to sound more like I'm barely keeping myself together.
Yeah, like some Darth Vader nonsense.
Yeah.
His lungs are like metal now. Like, he even said it.
That was the kind of thing where I was kind of like, listen, you could flesh this out so much better.
Mm-hmm. I didn't like his voice, and his personality didn't fit the look of the character.
Unfortunately, that is just how Cabal always is. But because he's very similar to Kano.
Okay,
right? They're very similar. Type. You've got one on both the good side and the bad side. There's something there. Mm-hmm. You can have Cabal be the douchebag of the bad guys group, or have, I don't know. They clearly know each other, but they don't establish that until the story needs it to be relevant, and then it's thrown away like it's nothing.
Yeah, because he kind of like talks about kind of talks about some of his fights, but he doesn't mention any specific names until we meet Cabal, and then Cabal says, "Do you know this guy?"
Do you know this guy, Kano? Yeah. So some of his lines were fine, but it was just the fact that like I feel like Cabal was only in the movie to give a reason to talk to Kano.
Yeah, like to have banter with.
But the thing is, I'm kind of like, Kano's a mercenary. Any one of those people could have come up to him and been like, "Hey, let's talk."
Mm-hmm.
Shang Tsung kind of sucks. You don't even know who I'm talking about, do you?
Oh no, he's the sorcerer guy.
Yeah, because he does nothing.
No, like he really, and like they didn't just say, they only said his name like 2 times. I mean,
2 times.
They did say like sorcerer, so I kind of assumed that that's who they were talking about.
Shang Tsung's introduction into this movie is him sitting on a throne and talking to Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm afraid of him.
Yeah.
Or what he's in charge of or anything.
Yeah, I was like, we just needed an introduction.
Yes, of some kind. And you know what I know it's really like lazy writing and kind of like villain 101,
mm-hmm.
but you know a good way to establish your villain? Mm-hmm. You show them doing something evil immediately. Like he could have like killed some crony or Last Starfighter or every JoJo villain we've ever met kills a dog. Shang Tsung shows up. I don't know what he's doing or why he's doing what he's doing. He's just some dude in a suit.
Just this old man in a chair.
And you know what doesn't help is that I'm not even comparing him to the original Shang Tsung from the movie, right? Because that's not fair.
Yeah.
That guy is a treasure. He is scary and creepy as all hell in that movie.
Yeah.
The guy in this movie seriously has probably the least amount of like presence and intimidation out of everyone. I mean, because
he's barely in the movie, and he barely gets to say anything either when he's there. It doesn't really help. It doesn't.
And I'm really not trying to like come at this guy specifically, but when you have very little screen time, you can still make it work.
You can.
What's his name? Played the devil in Constantine. He's in the movie for maybe 6 minutes, but he's really good.
Yeah,
he's a really good demon.
Well, I know,
because she had
unfortunate. She didn't
nothing
have anything
to do.
Yeah, she didn't have anything.
She's just a crony.
And I'm just like,
You know, she has a whole important thing.
Yeah, she's got a huge backstory.
She has a rivalry with like a family member, and like
her parents were abusive, specifically the dad.
Daughter, like there's a lot going on.
Yeah,
and it's not touched on at all.
Nope.
I appreciate that they wanted to focus on Sub-Zero being the bad guy.
Yeah.
I'm into that. That's okay. And they really made him like a badass.
Yeah.
And he has
cool.
presence.
Yes.
he has a lot of intimidation factor when he's on screen.
Yeah.
Even when you can't tell what's going on in the fight. He
that guy
seems
was
like
good.
kind of an unstoppable force. So he by far, they executed him really well.
Like Sub-Zero. I liked Scorpion.
Uh-huh.
I liked Sonya.
Yeah, I like Sonya too. I didn't at first just because her, a million miles a minute scene where she's talking about her research. And
Sure, she seemed a little crazy.
I'm like, not only she seemed crazy, I'm like, you threw 8 big words at me in the span of 20 seconds. I need you to slow down. Oh, we're not going to talk about any of that, huh? Okay. The room of Easter eggs where she just points to all the nerd crap for
that I
fans
found.
of the games. Here's a picture of Kotal-Con.
Who's that? It's okay.
Just don't worry about it. There's all this stuff. And another Easter egg. Oh, you spelled it wrong.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Jax was good. He's a good example of room to breathe. And I kind of wanted each of them to tackle something like that.
Yeah.
Something personal.
Yeah, and each of them really does have something like that.
Except for Cole, who just kind of is... I miss my family.
He's the new guy. And
that's
okay. Or
that's fine.
And not even I
fine.
miss my family. I think it was a more I have to protect my family. Except
that compared to what happens to everybody else.
Yeah,
seems like
it's small potatoes.
I was gonna say that exact phrase. It's such small potatoes. That's kind of like.
But
Sonya has more to be upset about because she wants to help, but they're just kind of like boys.
Whatever.
Only.
Yeah. No girls allowed. She man, woman hater.
Yeah, you did. You can't get it. I really wanted each of them to have a personal hill to climb, whether it was subtle or not. Because
and not
doesn't just have because I want it to be the original.
That's really, that's really hard to do too. Just because there's quite a few characters and
the 90s one did it.
Yeah. But you can't focus on every single one for the same amount of time, and still continue the storyline and everything. You have to have one main thing, and then everyone else can have smaller arcs. They can still have arcs.
Yeah.
It just can't be it can be. A Jax arc where he's not in it too much, but he still has a little one that you get to watch.
Yeah.
And
when I say the 90s one did it, they did it pretty bluntly, but Raiden literally comes out and looks at each of them and says, "This is your character flaw. This is your character flaw. This is yours," and then they work to fix it.
Yeah.
Some more subtly than others, but it's fine. But I think that even the 90s one was probably better written than this one, just because it's too obsessed, you said it, it's too obsessed with getting everything ready for the next movie.
Yeah, they just wanted to introduce everything.
Yeah.
They just wanted everybody to have basic knowledge of what Mortal Kombat is.
Which is unfortunate because I still, as a new person, would not be able to tell you what Mortal Kombat is.
You would be able to,
I know it's a tournament.
Big tournament.
I know it's a big deal.
And you know that there's two worlds and that they're battling.
Sure.
And that apparently, when you win 9 in a row, you get to be in control of said realm.
It's 10.
Well, they said 9.
They said 9, but again, the dialogue is shitty, and they say, "Oh, they've won 9 tournaments in a row, and we have to stop them from winning this next one. So you have to win 10 straight tournaments." Yeah. With all the exposition that Sonya gave, there was no, Raiden of all people should be the one to be listen.
This is what's going on.
There's a tournament that happens in the background. Not Sonya, who just kind of whatever.
Yeah.
I believe that her and Jax would kind of
try to figure stuff out.
With the markings and whatnot, would kind of catch on. And
or at least try to figure it out.
Yeah, and then Raiden walks in, and he explains everything, and then there's your movie. You know what they rounded out really well was the Scorpion and Sub-Zero rivalry.
Yeah.
That was, they executed that, pretty damn well. I kind of had a feeling that was going to be the, emotional core of the movie. And it
was.
Kind of was.
It was more or less.
They still were focusing on Cole a little bit, but because Cole has a thing going on that mirrors Scorpion, it still kind of works.
Yeah.
It still fits as it just kind of
Scorpion's family,
brought
his
him
family.
into it. It just kind of instilled Cole into their
Yeah, so it worked.
emotional stuff. So yeah, and it worked really well. That was probably my favorite aspect overall of the movie, was their kind of thing.
I liked it. It was definitely fun to watch. The fight scenes were fun to watch. Like, I appreciated that it was like over the top blood.
Yeah,
and
it was
not
nice
like
to
super
see.
realistic, because I expect over the top blood.
It's true, but I
There were some brutalities.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal. It wasn't as... See, that's another thing, is that from the trailers, it's kind of like, are they going for a realistic Mortal Kombat? Because I don't know if I want that. Because, like you said, I want it over the top and cartoony and comedic in a way.
Because there's just it's supposed to be so much, like...
There's a case to be made, though, that I know that everyone's pissed that the original one is PG-13. Like, oh, it's Mortal Kombat, it's gotta be rated R. I'm like, I don't know, because you would never know that the first one was based off of a super violent thing, because it didn't need to be.
No.
It was okay with just being what it was about. It was very choice about its gore.
Because I don't even know, was this rated R?
It was, see, you couldn't even tell. It is rated R. It is definitely rated R. But
I mean, just because, like, the standards nowadays, like, there's a lot of stuff that's rated PG-13 that you're like, oh.
That's true. The bar has been raised so much that if you're a Mortal Kombat movie, you do kind of have to blow people out of the water with the gore.
There were some moments.
A couple, but, like, there's a death that involves a person's head.
Yeah.
And they cut away so fast, I was kind of like, I didn't even get a chance to, like, really soak it in.
But, like, I think it's okay, too, because in the same instance, like, even it's a fighting game, and so like I do expect to see fighting, not necessarily just constant blood.
Yeah.
So like
some of the characters get one-shotted, and I was a little annoyed.
Yeah.
I was like, this is supposed to be a martial arts thing, right?
Yeah. So like I did appreciate that there was there was a lot of actual combat. There's a lot of fighting, and that's okay. Like I'm okay with the interchange of like, okay, well, we didn't see all the blood in the entire world, but we did get to see some actual fights.
Yeah, that's true.
So I was like, that's okay. I think that's a good trade.
I still did like it.
I liked it. I thought it was fun.
I think, honestly, I'm more excited for the prospects of a sequel.
I am too.
Because we have set up... I don't think we've explained quite everything that should be explained. But I think that we have enough of the groundwork now that next time, maybe we could have that scene of Raiden, because Raiden's not going to be allowed to fight. No. You could have that scene of Raiden just sitting down and explaining a little bit more. Yeah. And everyone else can do the fighting. Yeah.
Like, maybe this was you need to see how serious the situation is. Yeah. I can't just explain it to you. You wouldn't come anyway.
Yeah. Or maybe that's where the time travel stuff can go. Maybe he can't take them back in time, but he can show them...
Yeah,
kind of
something.
Exactly.
What went down.
Yeah.
Some of the other ones. And I'm just excited that there better be all I'm saying is there better be a damn second one. Because if I don't get what I want...
Yep.
Heads will roll.
We can say it. They already were straight up, because they addressed the fact that Johnny Cage is not in this
did
movie.
they? I didn't know.
Because a lot of people, when the trailers came out, were kind of like, hey, I noticed that you've got Liu Kang and Sonya, but no Johnny.
Where's Johnny?
Where is he? And then they went to IMDb. Oh, Johnny's not on the list. So do we boycott the movie now? Or what do we do?
Where is he?
And they straight up just addressed, we are saving him for a sequel.
If I don't get another movie, heads will roll.
Here's the thing. I want them to do Johnny Cage right.
Yes.
If they give Johnny the same amount of love as they gave Kano, because Kano was probably, he's a douchebag.
He was.
But he was
appropriately douchey.
He gave every scene
100%
more energy.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you took Kano out of the movie, it's a lot slower and a lot
He was
more
quippy.
Boring. It was quippy, and he was something you could bounce off.
He had some good lines, yeah.
Yeah, he kept things going.
Yeah.
He kind of reminds me of Jane from Firefly.
Okay,
yeah. If you took him out, then there would be less conflict, and therefore a lot less to do.
And he keeps that conflict keeps pushing things forward, and so it's nice.
Yeah, it is. If you give Johnny Cage the same kind of casting and the same amount of writing as you gave Kano?
Now that they know how upset so many of us would be if it's not done correctly, maybe they'll take some time.
Yeah.
Because he is my favorite character.
He's a lot of people's favorite character.
He is the best one.
Yeah.
And I need him.
There's a reason why people were like, we boycott.
I will not watch it. Oh, I love him so much.
Yeah.
He's my favorite one.
Alright, so final thoughts just to round things out.
I would definitely, I would say watch it. Like, you're gonna enjoy it. It's definitely a good, like, popcorn movie. It does its job. It's entertaining. It's definitely Mortal Kombat. They didn't lie.
Yeah.
So, I think all in all, they did what they set out to do, and it's definitely on par and or above par than the other ones. And I liked it. I would watch it again.
I would watch it again. I did enjoy the majority of it. I don't think it's worth going to a theater to see. I think if you rent it or if you have HBO Max, easy sell. Mm-hmm. Watch it by
just watch it.
You already know if you're gonna like it or not. It's Mortal
if
Kombat.
You don't like Mortal Kombat, you're not gonna like it.
Mortal Kombat games, any kind of other media, games, books, audio, like everything has evolved to the point where getting a movie adaptation is no longer a like symbol of status.
Yeah, because there's so many things.
Oh, it's getting a movie.
Yeah.
Now we did it.
Yeah.
We made it.
Now
we proved that
was the 90s movie.
That was the
90s movie.
We are no longer now. I'm honestly at the point where I'm kind of like the story of the games is good enough to the point where that if these movies crash and burn,
I still have the game.
Honestly, I'm okay.
Yeah, I still have the game.
This movie as a whole, I think it's fine if you had HBO Max, and if you're not going to pay all that much attention to it, sure.
Yeah, especially, if you already have HBO Max, there's no reason not to just give it a try.
I actually, the 90s movie, I think is a better movie. I would sit and I'm trying to remove my nostalgia as best as I can, because I grew up on that movie a lot.
Yeah.
I watched it a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
But I think I could honestly sit down and make the case that the 90s movie is still, it's a simpler and a more predictable movie. But I think it's better executed than this one is, because this one, the other one was just content with just doing whatever, it didn't care about meeting an expectation. It was PG-13. It didn't care about meeting the expectations that people had of it going in. This one has to make sure has a checklist that it's going off of, and it suffers for that because it's either moving too fast or too slow. The fighting is a little too close. It's a little too jagged at times. Some of it is fine. Some of it, especially the beginning and then the bookend fights are really good. There's a fight in a trailer park or something that's pretty good. There are good fights in the movie, but it's sometimes choreography gets lost. Sometimes I can't tell what's going on. Sometimes it's edited in a way that I don't need it to be. It's too fast. I think as a whole, if you're going to sit down and pay attention and watch a movie that is still fun and super cheesy, I think the original is better. This one sacrifices cheese for more grit and violence and modern sensibilities of how it looks, and that's fine, because again, if you just put it on and you want to have a little bit of a drink and some snacks and just kind of lazily watch it, I think it's perfect.
And I think this meets all of the things that it needs to meet in order to draw new people in who mildly know what Mortal Kombat is, and are mildly interested in it. They like action movies.
If you like action movies, yes.
Then they did all the things they were supposed to do.
I would be a little bummed if someone who never heard of Mortal Kombat or didn't know what it was about watched this and went, oh, this is what Mortal Kombat is. Okay, I'd be like, well, no, not... There's more. There's more to it.
I mean, like, yeah, but there's so much more. You can't expect everything from the first movie. Like, there's so much story.
But I would just watch the first movie again.
I mean,
it does just fine. Not great, because a lot of the villains in the original movie are just fodder. Scorpion and Sub-Zero have absolutely no character in the first movie. I still like the 90s one better just because it's a more charming, enjoyable, better crafted movie. This one is a close second. I agree that it's probably like one of the best produced Mortal Kombat things that's out there. And yeah. That's how I feel about that. I'm looking forward to a sequel, not just because of Johnny Cage, although that's like 80% of my excitement.
That's 90% of the excitement.
It's 95% of the excitement.
99.99% of the excitement.
But it's also because now that it's kind of like how I felt after Man of Steel, where I was like, well, maybe now that they've got the setup and the exposition out of the way, now we can develop what we've set up. Hopefully it doesn't turn out the same way that Man of Steel did, because good God. But I'm looking forward to more.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it. I think that overall most people will really enjoy it. There's always going to be somebody who hates everything in the world, but
yeah,
I think 7 out of 10 would recommend.
I think 6 out of 10 would recommend. It's not mediocre, but it's not fantastic. It's right in the middle for me.
Yeah, I think 7 out of 10 would recommend. I would watch it. I'd watch it again.
But you should watch our playthrough of the Mortal Kombat story mode.
It's like if you want to watch any of the other stories, I had a good time.
Yeah.
I had a good time most of the time except for when I got angry.